if you're in the presentation, you click on it. You can go there.
Well, I'm trying to copy and paste this thing's not letting me go straight to the link.
Well, if you put it in slideshow.
Yeah, when you open the
Oh,
slideshow, yeah, you can just click on.
Oh, is it not
That's
embedded?
weird. That's really weird.
Control click maybe.
Is not
Yeah, this isn't Mac. It worked
Is
on
not
my-
Mac.
Yeah, it worked on my Mac. That's not good.
You can copy and paste it.
Yeah.
That's I'm trying to.
Well, now you have to.
Yeah.
Control C.
Control C.
Oh, I guess I'm just.
Oh,
This is so much fun. Sorry about that.
I'm
Oh,
set.
yeah.
This is just a
Right.
first opening 2-minute presentation. I'm just going to do 2 minutes of the 10 minutes. Obviously, it gives a really great opener for green economy. That's what I'm going to be talking about. So this kind of does a really good job.
My name is Kevin, and I help go.
It's just an ad. It's not your fault. It's fine.
You guys kind of read those couple of things as it goes.
Under the midst of darkness in 1961, 3,000 Korean soldiers led by Major General Park Chung-hee entered the city of Seoul in what is now called the May 16 military coup. At the time of the coup, South Korea was the poorest of 120 nations in the UN.
Pretty good music background, right?
wow.
The Koreans had suffered through over 30 years of brutal Japanese occupation. After Japan's defeat in World War II, the newly independent Koreans were unprepared for the Korean War in 1950. The division of their nation and the war left Korea in ruins. The people had nothing. Thousands of starving beggars and orphans scavenged the gutters. Millions were jobless, homeless, wounded, or dead. The reality was harsh. There had been no economic growth since their independence in 1945, and the two prior political administrations were unproductive, incompetent, and corrupt. In addition, the North Koreans were surpassing them in every aspect of their economy. Riots and protests echoed through the streets every day. Communist threats were at their highest, and the people did not trust the corrupt government. The country was also suffering from a huge economic deficit.
Okay. Okay. So the Korean economy in the past 60 years is obviously a huge miraculous thing in and of itself. As the we kind of got some background history here. Yeah, go ahead. As the destruction of the Korean country itself and the division between North and South left them obviously in ruins. But it has one of the fastest growing economies in the world. From the 1960s to 1990s, it's still one of the fastest growing countries in the 2000s. It is the 15th in the world by nominal GDP and 12th by purchasing power per propriety, which this stands for is just a component of some economic theories and is a technique used to determine the relative value of different currencies. So obviously, when you have like $1 American, like how much is the actual value in Korean won? That has obviously changed drastically. Think about even 25 years ago, like $1 American was almost, I think, 3 or 4 Korean dollars back in the day. So as we can tell, the economy is doing much better for the Koreans. So far, it's also the only country to be added to the group of next 11 countries. That's a group, as I just kind of stated here, that has a high potential of becoming one of the largest economies of the 21st century. Just some other countries there are Bangladesh, Mexico, Indonesia, and others. So there's kind of 11 countries that are bound to be boosted up and kind of catch up with the bigger powers such as China, Japan, and America in economic status. That should not be cut off there. But some issues with Korea and what they had at first when they were trying to boost their economy was that they were overpopulated. They had no natural resources. So how were they to survive and create such an amazing economy? It is fueled as an export-oriented economy, obviously meaning they obviously have to import a lot of natural resources, but they export more than anything to obviously boost their economy, and that's how their country makes most of their money is through export. It's the 7th largest importer in the world as well. Like I said, it's the 6th largest distributor for exports. Trying to do this. South Korea officially became the first major recipient of ODA, which is an official development assistance, to have essentially the status of a major donor of ODA. What that company does is obviously gives out a bunch of money to countries in need, of financial need, millions of dollars to different things. Between 2008 and 2009, it donated $1.7 billion to countries other than North Korea, for tsunamis, earthquakes, natural disasters, or just poor countries in general that needed help with things. And historically, it has, however, donated more than double that to North Korea. So obviously, again, they kind of, blood brothers or family, stuff like that, they take care of a lot of their family, or feel that North Korea is still part of their family. Walmart failed also in South Korea. It had attempted to start there, but it couldn't keep up. It failed because it couldn't compete with the E-Mart pricing. For those of you that are familiar with E-Mart, it's kind of the American Walmart in South Korea. The advertising of the other companies were much better, and it wasn't aggressive enough. Yeah.
I've also heard they didn't adapt. Like, they didn't provide Korean products. Like, they sold kind of the same sort of stuff they would sell here in the U.S. there.
Similar to that, but the problem was with Walmart was they sold bigger in bulk. Because let's see. Yeah, well, here's kind of the difference. Walmart, sold in bigger bulk. The Koreans like just the food and quick, small grab type of things. They're not a fan of like the big boxes and stuff like that too. So kind of like you're saying, that's what they didn't like. Also, Walmart sold a lot of electronics and clothing. You see some of that in the E-Marts, but mostly it is oriented around food. Whereas Walmart's about 50-50, and a lot of the Koreans tend to like just the random kimbap chungguks or other place they can just buy foods and drinks along the streets rather than just massive marts all the time. So, but yeah, the reason E-Mart, like I said, did better is because they sold in smaller quantities, quick grab foods and drinks, and they used people to sell their goods. They had people in there constantly yelling and advertising. I'm sure for people that have been there in Korea, you have like Korean girls in like these skimpy little like cheerleader outfit skirt type things, and they're like offering samples and hey, buy this drink, buy that, So of course, the Korean men and stuff and all the stuff they got there, they buy whatever they're offered. Okay. So yeah, like I said, the smaller shops, bonuses. So those of you that haven't been, I kind of just went over that. And then if there's any questions, sorry, I just breezed through that like really fast. No questions. Okay, and that's it.
Thank you.
Sorry.